Hey class, today we're going to talk about geolocation. Now, geolocation is essentially tracking somebody using their digital footprint. And to track somebody, it's usually somebody either A, doesn't want to be found, B, is missing, or you could track somebody that you have under criminal investigation or some other investigation and you just want to know their whereabouts. So there's various ways that you can geolocate somebody. So usually it's from a device that the person has with them or they're using, such as a computer or a cell phone. So and there are other methods to geolocate somebody as well, but there's usually an electronic device tied in there somehow. So one method that we talk about in the geolocation class is OSINT, Open Source Intelligence, and this is tracking people down using various databases and open source materials that are available on the internet. And there's various software programs out there you can use that will help you track somebody down and keep track of all of your leads to locate a person. So OSINT is an entire section, an entire module in the geolocation class. The next thing is social media. Today, social media is king. So people are constantly posting to Facebook, or well, my generation anyway. I guess Facebook is not as popular among younger kids. And then you've got Twitter, Instagram, and whatever other forms of social media that's out there that people are using. And if you're in law enforcement, keep in mind that you can't subpoena those records because various social media platforms do capture like IP addresses or various locations. They may have the metadata off a photo. Usually, photos when they're taken on a smartphone will capture the location that that photo was taken as well as the time, and that data, metadata, is usually stripped now when you post it to social media like Facebook, and that metadata may be able to be retrieved through the proper court order. Um, no guarantees, but it's possible. So social media is definitely pretty important as far as being able to locate somebody. Also, with social media, you can actually um, link the person you're looking for to other people. Say they have a friends list on Facebook, and there's also some mapping you can do to link people up using various software that's available out there. The other method is financial location of somebody. The One of the most surefire ways of tracking somebody down is if you have their financial records, where they're using their debit card, where they're using their credit cards. If you have somebody who's on the run, and you can get access to their financial records legally, then you can find out, maybe where if they check into a hotel, find out where they may be staying, so you can locate them. Let's say they stop using their usual credit cards. Having their financial history will help you determine some pattern of life for that person, habits of places where they like to go, places where they like to eat, places where they may like to stay, areas they may like to vacation in, locations of family members and things like that. So financial information is also pretty important. Now, there's a fallacy out there that if somebody is using cryptocurrency, they can move money around without being tracked, and that is only partly true. Certain types of cryptocurrency can be tracked and investigated. There are a couple out there right now that are still encrypted, and there's no guarantee they're going to stay encrypted. So later on down the road, that financial information may be able to be tracked. But there is software out there that will do link analysis to various transactions and can connect transactions of cryptocurrency. So don't think cryptocurrency is entirely anonymous. It is referred to as pseudo-anonymous. And then the next method of locating somebody is through electronics. And there's various methods of electronic tracking. So, one would be the use of an actual tracking device. Say that, you have a person who is under investigation, you could place a tracking device either on their vehicle or somehow on their person. But the most used tracking method nowadays is cellular tracking. So in geolocation, we'll explain to you the various methods of cell phone tracking. You can do it through triangulation. You can use it if it pings with a GPS location. You can do that. So cell tracking is one of the prolific methods for somebody to be tracked and located. You hear about it all the time on the news. Somebody turns up missing, and they'll say their cell phone pinged at such and such a location. And in geolocation, we get into more depth of how cellular phones work and how they ping cell towers and how cell towers work. And there's various methods that a cell phone can be tracked. Another method is through IP or a MAC address. IP address is an Internet Protocol address. That's the address of their laptop computer or their cell phone. Where they're connecting to the internet will have an IP address. So you can track somebody down just tracking down that IP address. And there are various methods you can do that. This can be defeated using an anonymous browser and what's called a virtual private network, a VPN, where it fools the internet into thinking that you're checking into the internet from a different location than you actually are. But it's a good place to start. Also, with a MAC address, if you can get close to the area of that electronic device, there are ways you can actually locate that device using its Wi-Fi signal, which I'm going to get into in a few minutes. So IP and MAC address are the other methods of geolocation. Now getting into Wi-Fi, there's a whole class at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center dedicated to, and it's a week-long class dedicated to tracking a Wi-Fi device down. So once you have a MAC address, you can sniff the air using various open source programs like Wireshark and using a dongle and an antenna. You can sniff the air for any type of networks that are around, and then you can also see what devices are connecting to that network and what devices are broadcasting, and you can lock onto that specific device and find it. This is what they call going the last mile. You may be able to find your way from narrow it down to a city, and then you can narrow it down to a neighborhood, and then maybe you can narrow it down using some of this radio direction finding techniques. You can actually narrow it down to what door behind a motel room or a hotel room, and you can find that device with very specific location. So that's Wi-Fi geolocation. And then the last type of geolocation that we teach in the geolocation class is image analysis. Image analysis is stripping that metadata off a photograph or examining the photograph to try to locate it somewhere in the world. So this can be done using open source things like Google, just looking at the background. Also, there's software out there called SunCalc, where you can, generally identify a latitude or a longitude based on the angle of the shadows. So there are, various methods out there. It's not like, you see on TV where you can pin somebody down just looking at an image and have a exact coordinate of where they are located. So usually image analysis requires some detective work and a lot of internet searching. So hopefully you'll enjoy this introduction to geolocation, and you'll decide you want to take the class and go in deeper. What I'm gonna include in this week's module, some of the links and some of the material that's in the entire geolocation class, just so you can get a feel for some of the various techniques that are out there. So hope you enjoy.